So when you have three different numbers and you got to think about the signs, here's what you can do. You can divide it up into parts. There's a couple of ways to look at this. One way is to go, okay, do this first. What's negative 100 times negative 5? Positive 500. And again, you could think, do the signs first. A negative times a negative is a positive. So, and then 5 times 100 is 500. So you can do just one thing at a time. That's one way to get through it if you think you're going to get what I tell you in a minute mixed up, okay? Now I got a positive times a negative, so what would it be, Blake?
That'd be a negative 1,000.
Negative 1,000, okay? So you can just do two at a time, simplify, and just keep doing, just keep doing one more. If there was like a long list of 6, I could do 2 and simplify them. Then I could do the answer to that with the next one. I could just kind of keep simplifying as I go. Another way to do this is if you ever have a problem and you have an even number of negatives, everybody's going to pair up. Doesn't it take 2 negatives to make a positive? So if you have 2 negatives, it's like they get together and they're happy. Just pretend they're little people and they got a bad attitude or they're sad or whatever you want to think about with negatives. And you get them together, and they get happy because they've met their soulmate or something. I don't know. You can tell yourself a little story to help you remember it. But 2 negatives make a positive. If I had 4 negatives, there'd be 2 pairs of those 2 negatives, right? So if there's an even number of negative numbers, everybody gets to pair up. For example, let's see if we've got one like that here. I don't see one. But if I had 2, okay, there's a good example, number 2. It's on video already, but I'll use it as my example. If I have this, negative 6 times negative 4 times negative 7 times negative 2, these two guys get together, and a negative times a negative is a positive, right? So I could go ahead and multiply those. Then I could say, well, these two guys get together, and a negative times a negative there would be a positive and a 14, right? Because 7 times 2 is 14. And then, oh, look, I don't even have any negatives anymore, do I? That was because there was an even number of them. Everybody got to pair up with somebody else and become positive, okay? Now, what if I have an odd number of them, let's say like number 4, which is also already on video, so let me try. Is there another one? Number 8 is not on video. Let's do that one, okay? Negative 4 times negative 2 times 6. Again, I can just take 2 numbers at a time and work my way through this slowly if I want to. Those are not an odd number in negatives. What's negative 4 times negative 2? Positive 8. And then I could say, okay, take that 8, and now we're going to multiply it by 6. It is 48, right? Okay, so I don't see where we have an odd number of negatives except for number 4. And it's already on video, so I'm going to turn this off so I can put something else. All right, so I don't think it says that we've got any word problems recorded. So let me start with number 2, because I can see that would probably be confusing. 2 less than 4 times a certain number is 34. What's the number? Okay. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start reading a little bit at a time from the beginning. I do see there is a then here. Okay. Usually then tells me the variable is going to come after that. The only thing that's missing here as far as something that they didn't give me a number for is this certain number here. What do y'all want to call the certain number? We'll call it X, okay? Okay, so maybe I go ahead and say when I get to that, I'll just call it X, because that's really the only thing I could even make a variable here. So 2 less than, what does that mean I'm going to do? Yeah, it's like instead of saying 2 subtract, less than means subtraction, doesn't it? But I'm not going to put 2 minus something. That less than means I'm going to say it's something minus 2. 2 less than something would be I'm going to subtract 2 from something. I just don't know what it is yet. So instead of putting 2 minus, you're going to kind of switch that and put like, I'm going to subtract 2 from something. What am I going to subtract it from? Whatever I'm going to subtract it from, I'm going to put right here. What does it tell me I'm going to subtract it from? What comes after the then? 4 times a certain number. So 4 times, we called it X. It's going to be a 4X right here. And then you got, you keep going and you go, oh look, there's the word is. That means equal, right? And what's it equal to? 34. And then you just solve that equation. I'm going to leave that part for you just because I don't want to, I think the setup is kind of the thing usually with people. Okay, so there's the equation for that one. We'll do number 4, setup next, just in case you're having a hard time with the setup. 4 says Susan is 2 years more than.
Why do they always do
That's just trying to get you to write word problems, and they're trying to start kind of easy. 2 years more than twice as old as Tim. How old? The sum of their ages is 26. And I want you to use algebra to solve this. I know that with Miss Bailey, y'all learned how to kind of use tables and guess and check and stuff like that, but we're really trying to get our algebra down here. So we want to make sure we're writing an algebra equation. And again, in Algebra 1, toward the end of the year, you get an even easier way to do it than we're going to do now. Okay? So let's see. Let's call, I don't like S's because they look like 5s. I'm going to call Susan X, okay, just because. So X is going to be Susan's age. Okay, just because an S looks too much like a 5 for me and I'll get it confused. And then we got Tim. Let's call Tim T, okay? We'll just call T is Tim's age. So let's do this first one. Susan, which is X, means equal. Susan is 2 years more than. What does 2 years more than mean? I'm going to add 2 to something. I'm going to add 2 to something. I don't know what it is. I'm going to leave a space for it. She's 2 years more than.
Twice as old as Tim.
Yep, twice as old as Tim. You kind of got to say it that way, right? Twice as old as Tim. So if he's twice as old as Tim and Tim is T, it's going to be 2T, isn't it? Twice means multiply by 2. So we got that equation. But then there's another one. Yay, right? Now, if you remember on these, what we usually do is when we see the sum of their ages is 26, that's the main one I'm going to look at. And I'm going to use the one I just made to kind of plug in and replace something, okay? It's been a while since we had one like this, but we've had some like this before. The sum of their ages is 26. What does sum mean? It's adding, right? Adding two things together. Sum means adding. So we know that word means we're supposed to add their ages. So what it's saying is Susan's age plus Tim's age, and is equal to 26, right, if I add them together. Now, if I have two different variables, I can't solve this right now, okay? You'll learn that you can solve it in Algebra 1, but we're not going to go there yet. It's kind of beyond what we're doing right now.
I was going to say the equation.
Sure, tell me. That's good.
2n plus, I did n.
It's okay.
2t plus 2 times t equals 26.
Or plus t. Yeah, plus t. Good. Yeah. Yeah, Tim was t. Let's leave him alone. And the reason we're going to leave him alone is can't we represent Susan here as 2t plus 2? So we can actually not even think about having an x at all. We can say, oh, we called Susan x, but she's really 2t plus 2. So let's just put that in there. That's an easier way to describe it for us since that gives us only one variable, and they're equal to 26. And now we got an equation, and we've done stuff like this before. You could, say 2t and t would make what? 3t, right? Okay, so you'd have 3t plus 2 is 26, and you would just solve it. Now, when you get done, you're going to get t, right? What did they want you to tell? How old is Susan?
So you would subtract t from...
Yeah, you can plug it in. You can go, okay, how old is Susan's what they want to know. So, let's quickly, we'll work through this in warp speed. I'd subtract 2. If I'm trying to get the t by itself, PEMDAS backwards says subtract.
24.
So, yep, so subtract 2, you get 3t is 24. And if you divide both sides, wouldn't the next thing be to get t by itself is divide both sides by 3? It'd be 8. T is 8. That means Tim is 8. So we know Tim is 8. I'll write it over here in red. He's 8. Well, Susan is just 2 times T plus 2, right? And this we've talked about her age right here. So if I could put that T in there, which is 8, I can find out how old Susan is. She's 2 times 8, which is 16, plus 2, so that makes her 18. So how old is Susan? She's 18 years old. And again, sometimes when you solve things, they on purpose ask you for the other thing. They kind of know how you might set this up, and they're on purpose asking you for Susan instead of Tim to see if you'll remember that you got to go take that answer and plug it back in. Okay, it's just something that happens all the time in word problems.